Hey guys, today I'm in a rush, but I wanted to come in here and tell you about this sketchbook. This isn't exactly a sketchbook, it's more like a painting book or a collage book or I don't know, an all-in-one book, let's call it like that. I made it myself. It's a repurposed book. I've been working in it a lot lately and I'm enjoying it so much. So I'm pretty excited about a few works that I'm doing right now in this boy and I wanted to tell you about. But first things first, let me show you a clip where you can see how I made this. And as you can see, I painted the cover. I'm going to show you all about that. And then we come back to see what I've been working on and what I'm working on today and why am I in such a rush. Okay, see you in a minute. There you go. Here's my repurposed book. As much as I hate to destroy a book, I hate it more to get it to waste. And for the content on this one, I didn't care at all. So I decided to give it a second life. And I'm sorry if a lot of people might not agree with me, but giving it a life where it can serve art, it's a well accomplished life. So that's what I'm doing here. This book has very thin pages, so I had to glue several of them together and then glued some other papers on top of it to get them to be sturdy for me to paint on. So in this sketchbook, I was meaning to make collage works, painting works, whatever I wanted to do in it. And I started gluing leftover papers that I had. Some of them were from my previous children's book, some collage papers, and some sketches. In some pages, I had big pieces of paper to glue on so I wouldn't have to make a kind of a patchwork. But in others, I had to make that. And I really love that because in the end, I'll get more texture to play around for the art that I'll make on top of it. I did this process over and over all throughout the book. And then I wanted to paint the cover with my acrylic paints. I had to use a very thick layer because the cover of this book was a little bit shiny and plasticky. So I had to make my paints stay on top of it. And that's what you see me doing here. I had some colors that I pre-mixed myself, making this palette, this wet acrylic palette. And I used this palette for a lot of projects. So I used it on this one also. As you see, I was mixing the paints wet on wet, on top of each other, mixing them on the work itself. And that gives me all this texture and all these expressive marks, all these expressive brush strokes that I love. And this felt almost like oil paints, it took forever to dry. And I didn't know exactly at first what I wanted to paint, but I love painting trees. It's always a go-to for me. So I did that with whichever colors I felt like at the moment. I picked my colors kind of intuitively. So I ended up with this pink for my trees. It didn't look quite right. I wanted a more reddish tone. So I went over it with a yellow thin coat. This is quite transparent. So it turned the pink into red. It felt almost like magic happening right in front of my eyes, You can see here how the project was going. I had to wait forever between layers to dry. And then I worked on my ground. I did some kind of pixel work in here, like pointillism or something. I just added my colors next to each other and make them look like this grass all over the place, a little bit lighter on the back and darker on the front, because, as you go back into the landscape, colors tend to be lighter. So I wanted to give this sense of three-dimensional landscape, and I'm really happy with it. It's very expressive and very bright. I hope you enjoyed the details I'm showing you here. I think some of them would look very good as paintings just by themselves. In here, I'm already working on top of one of my sketches for the illustrations for my previous book. I wasn't thinking about doing this when I glued the sketches on this book, but then I got a little bit precious about it and I didn't feel good about painting on top of them. So I decided to take advantage of them and also give them a second life, a second reading. This is what I've been working on today. I like it, it's very colorful. This is based on the illustrations I made for my latest children's book. If you haven't heard about it, I invite you to check out some of my previous videos, because I talk about it, I show it, and you can learn all about it if you're interested. And why is this so? Well, let me show you a little bit all through this book. As you know, I glued a lot of papers in here, and some of these papers are the collage papers I made for my illustration book. I also have a video on that, on how I made these collage papers, and some of the sketches for my illustrations. I was just going to throw them all away, and I figured out why not glue them on this book that I want to make a sketchbook out of, and I glued them in any way I wanted. That's not really an order or an idea. It's just to cover the pages of the book. And as you can see, in some of them I started painting over. And why is this? I decided to make prints on the subject of the book, which was about the revolution that took place in Portugal 50 years ago. And again, I tell you all about it in some other videos of mine, so I'm not gonna talk about it again in this one. And I decided to make a whole body of work based on that subject. So I started painting on top of some of these sketches. This one I love. This can either be one big print or two individual pieces. I'm not sure yet, but I love it. This one I guess is finished. This one isn't finished yet, so I started painting on a lot of them at the same time. This one is also unfinished, but it's going in the right direction. And why is this? Because in my book, I'm gonna show you. Well, here's my book. On this book, because it's for children, I decided to go a little bit light on the colors. Some more than other because I wanted to show the kids that it wasn't pretty times, you know, it was really dark times here in Portugal. But at the same time, I go fairly light in almost all of the illustrations. For instance, this one, this is my version now. It has this red that gives it a lot more drama than in this one. I purposely gave this lighter treatment to the illustrations because they were for the children's book. And in here, I'm free to use whatever colors I want, maybe for a future exhibition or something, I don't know. I have much more freedom now to explore the colors and the moods of the illustrations. These are also in process still, and also this one. As you can see, I started painting all over the place. I've been enjoying myself tremendously. These ones are much darker, again not finished. A lot of them are not finished yet. You see, sometimes I just clean my brush in these pages and then I'll work on top of it. And for me, this all adds to the process and to the richness of the piece. None of this is done. The only one that is done, I think, for now at least, is this one or two. I'm not sure yet. And then I got invited by a dear friend of mine, Paula Farinhas, which is an actress and makes a lot of great activities with children. And I got invited by her to go with her to this flower party, which is an event that happens here in Setúbal, which is a city near where I live. And she's going to tell the story of my book to the children, make an activity with them. And she asked me if I wanted to come along, you know, maybe show my illustrations or something. And she knew I was working on these prints right now. So she asked me, why don't you come along and talk to the children about your creative process or something like that. But of course, now the main theme is the flower because it's the flower party. And I thought, okay, but that's in just 2 days from now. Is that it? Today's Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. It's on Thursday, so I have the rest of today and tomorrow to make a few prints. And right now I'm just aiming to do 3 prints. This is the first one. This is going to be the first one. And then 2 more about the carnation, which is our revolution's flower. And why is that? I also have a video telling that story. It's a really inspiring story. This was a beautiful revolution overall, and that's really a beautiful story. So I'm gonna leave the link on the description for you to go check it out if you want to, because today I really don't have time to talk much. So I want to finish this illustration right now, talking a little bit about my process on this one. I laid the colors all over the place, and by now my only idea about this piece is to give this carnation a stand, you know. And although there is a lot of colors, a lot of happiness and movement around all the image, I don't want the rest of the image to stand out so much as the carnation. So I highlighted some words that has to do with this whole concept, and it is flores, meaning flowers, liberdade, freedom, revolução dos escravos, which is the way we we call our revolution the carnation revolution. So right now, as I told you, I have color all over the place. My values are all messed up. Now it's time for me to look at it, to see the mistakes I made, to see what I want to push back and what I want to come forward. And that's what I'll be thinking about now. And also, because I have very little time, it is already, I think, about 4 o'clock in the afternoon, so I don't have much time to do this. I'm going to work on 2 more prints. This is another one I started. 2 more prints, as I was telling you about. There are going to be like postcards of carnations on these 2 pages. I have another red pages somewhere in this book, these ones, but these are a little bit pinkier than these ones. These are much more reddish, and I have the idea for these postcards, but I didn't make any sketch on them, so maybe I'll work on it now, because it's making me so anxious not to know exactly what I'm gonna do in these ones. And then, as I might feel quieter, calmer, I might give a good look onto this one and figure out what I need to do about it to make this carnation pop and all of this still be joyful and screaming liberty and freedom and party, you know, and happiness all over the place, but not to overwhelm the carnation. So I'll start by sketching the 2 postcards. Why don't you come along with me? And I hope you'll enjoy the ride. Gave a little bit of thought on the colors I want for these pieces, but I'm not totally sure yet, so I didn't figure out everything yet. I'll figure that out as I'm going. I noticed other times that I think a lot better when I'm working, because I think the creativity juices are flowing. So I'm figuring out the colors I want to go with as I'm working in these preliminary stages of the piece. This is acrylic paint that I pre-prepared some other time. I don't know if I showed you already, but I made this palette in these tiny boxes because they are hermetic. They really close well, and they keep the paint moisture for a long time and workable, you know. And it's really good. It's a wet palette, wet acrylic palette. And why am I putting this yellow in here? I want a bright green on my background, but I want to build the colors because I want these different colors to show up underneath my, let's say, my flat color, in order exactly not to be a flat color, because I like all this mess to appear underneath it. And this is a fairly transparent yellow that I had laying around. I mixed it, I think, with a bit of brown because this was a bright yellow, kind of a lemon yellow, and I didn't want that. I don't use that a lot, just for mixing, but I figured I could use a lot more this yellow, which is a little bit darker than the lemon yellow. I don't know if you can see it, but yeah, it's a little bit darker than the yellow, the lemon yellow. So while it dries, I'll already apply this green that I pre-mixed also, and I wrote here what it was, which were the colors that I put in it, but it washed away, so I don't know anymore, but it doesn't matter. I have this white, which isn't a white, it's a very light purple, but I don't care. I'll put it in here and mix with this green. The paints are a little bit thick, but I don't mind it too much because it gives a lot of texture, and as you know, I love heavy texture. I can never get enough of heavy texture. And I'm mixing this green and this white as I'm going. Sometimes it is darker, sometimes it's lighter, but it's okay. That's exactly what I want. I want this variety of tones. I'm using this old paintbrush. It's a very stiff one and it's in rough state, but I don't mind. As I told you, I want the textures to appear, and this can give me that. And I don't know by now if I'm gonna give a second coat on the green or not, because I'm liking this red to peek through a little bit. The red that is underneath. I think it's really fun. I had paper underneath, collaged paper, and it gives all these funny textures. I just love it. I think I'm gonna put a little bit of this yellow in here because I have very little white. I'm gonna make this strange green. Ooh, it's pretty. And now I cannot see the line, the sketch that I made before, but I'm going with the flow. I don't know exactly where it is, but I'll figure that out later. I'll figure out if I want this, if I like this or not, and change it. It's fairly easy to work with acrylics because you can paint over anything really. Dark to light, light to dark, I don't care. You can change whatever you want anytime, so it gives you a lot of freedom to play. And as you notice, I'm not mixing the colors on a palette before putting it into the work. I'm mixing it in the work itself because I like that to be notable afterwards. This is a big brush for some of the parts that I'm painting, but it's okay. I'll manage because I want to go loose. So this big brush forces me to go loose because I can't control as much as I wish. Once again, I'm gonna clean my brush, whatever. Oh, this might need some greens because it has the soldiers, you know. So I might get some green in here. I just do this randomly. Leave some of this dried paint also in there. Extra texture. Yes. Yes, that's it. I love it. More green here. I might have my arm in front of you. Okay. Oh dear. clean this right away. Okay, so accidents happen. I have to take off my shirt. Okay, let's see if it has dried. I guess not. This at first was meant to be a sketchbook, like I told you. But now I'm working on finished pieces here to make prints, you know. So it's a little bit challenging to work on it because you have to dry. You have to let everything fully dry before you go to another page. So it's not yet ready to turn the page. I guess I'll have to wait a little longer. Yeah, that's a bummer. Nobody likes to wait, right? But hey, you have to do it. The good news is you don't have to do it. Only me. Well, instead of letting it dry, I'm working a little bit more on it. You can see where I'm at. All the textures that I got on this one, all the textures of the collage papers underneath are showing through. And how lovely is that? I mean, I love it. Here I tried to highlight a couple words which are era proibido in Portuguese, meaning it was forbidden, because a lot of things were forbidden before the revolution. And after this all dries, I'll be working some more on it. I decided to add some text on my postcards in Portuguese, regar abril, which means watering April, watering like watering the flowers, and April was the month of the revolution. And on the other one it says a flor de abril, which means April's flower, because this is for the flower feast and at the same time about the flower of our revolution, which was in April, so the April flower is the carnation. Well, I thought I had finished this too, but somewhere along the way I'll reshape the carnation on the left because its petals are looking down on the sides and I don't like it. I mean, I know some carnations look like this, but it just reminded me of a sad clown and that was not the vibe that I wanted for this project, so I had to reshape it. You'll see how it turned out later. But that was with my yellow light on. See the difference? Now it's with no light. The reds are brighter this way, aren't they? I'm really happy with this too. These are going to be postcards, but I could also make bigger prints. I don't know yet. Oh, I gotta see which frames do I have because I don't have time to go buy more. Oh God, each time I think I find a little bit more to do. Okay, I found these frames. That should do it. And these are things to display the frames. I've got a lot of them. I got this one, which is 18 by 24 centimeters. I have this small one with an old photo. I might take it off. I don't know if I'll use this. This is a 10 by 15 centimeters. This is an A4 one, and it already has that clip to hang it. These two are 13 by 18, I'm guessing. This is an 18 by 13. Oh, this is smaller. So I guess this is a 15 by 18, 10 by 13, I don't know. And this is also an 18 by 13. And this is a bigger one, 24 by 30 centimeters. I don't think I'll use this one because these proportions are not the A4 proportions. This is an A4 sheet of paper. Let me see. Yeah. Well, it fits, but I'm guessing it fits much better in this one. Yeah. that's for sure. I'll use it like this because my illustration is on landscape format. Yeah, I don't know if I'll paint it. Tomorrow I'll take care of that. I have these two finished by now, and I'll work on the other one later because I have to go right now. Oh, this works like this. You put it like this on the table and you get your frame like so. This one is too small for this. Maybe this one, yeah. Imagine that there is the print in here, but hey, you get the idea, right? That's how it works. Here you can see me working some more on the first print, trying to make the carnation stand out, pushing that tank backwards with a lighter color. And then I decided to look at it in black and white to figure out my values. And I noticed something I hadn't noticed yet. One of the branches of the tree, it's hitting right through the carnation, and that bothers me. So I'm gonna fix that. Otherwise, the values are looking quite good in my opinion right now. As you can see, I painted white on top of that branch, and while it dries, I'm gonna make some details with colored pencil on my figures. Then I'll go over it and make that disappear, making the people come forward. And in the end, you won't be able to see that bit of the branch. Here is the final piece after I scanned it and arranged it a little bit to disguise that line in the middle of the two pages, because this is a two-page illustration. And here are the postcards for the carnations, how the prints look in the frames. And so sorry, this is the only picture that I took during the activity with the kids, where you can see how I displayed the prints in there. And I think it was pretty cute. And these three prints are for sale in several formats. I can print them in a small postcard format, then the medium size, and then the A4 size. And I can even go bigger till the A3 size. If you're interested in any of this, you can send me an email to this address that is written on the screen. And there you go, we're reaching the end of this video, and I'll leave you with some images of the flower feast here in Setúbal. The bagpipes don't have anything to do with our history per se, but there was this musician playing on the street and I loved it. So I included here, maybe you like it too. We were blessed with this really nice weather and went to see all the decorations, all the stands. Everything was looking really pretty in Avenida Luísa Todi, which was the place where the feast took place. Paula Farinhas made her activity with all the kids around. She told the story of my latest book, and I helped her by showing my original illustrations. And all throughout this feast, there were a lot of activities, not only for children, but for all ages. Here are some details that I wanted to show you for you to have a glimpse of this flower feast. It was really a nice event, really pleasant to walk through the stands and see what everybody's doing, like embroideries, flower arrangements, products made by seeds and flowers and pollen, and I don't know, all kinds of things. It was really fun. Me and my family enjoyed it a lot. So I hope you liked it as well. I hope you liked the whole video. And if you got till the end, please leave me a comment saying pretty flowers. Okay? And in that way, I'll know you're here with me all the way. And I thank you so much for that. I really appreciate it. So if you enjoyed this one, please leave me a like and subscribe to my channel. Click the bell so you won't miss my next ones. And I'll see you then. Bye bye.